There's been a huge amount of changes in the industry over the last 18 months, actually. A huge amount of progress that has made it easier to create and orchestrate data processing pipelines. There's been a lot of progress on the data engineering side, a lot of progress on the model creation side, a lot of progress on operationalizing. So it's definitely been a very active space, and it will continue to do so. There's obviously still a number of frustrations and areas where we can do better as an industry. So four of them come to mind. The first one is around making it even easier to do data preparation, and particularly versioning of data. That is something that is I think still a largely unsolved problem in the ML and AI space. That we can version code and we can see what runs when, but understanding what version of the data was used for a particular model, and being able to create that kind of end-to-end link, I think is still largely an unsolved problem that might have some simple solutions that we can start to implement. And as part of that, the data preparation umbrella, there's also improvements around making it easier to create and maintain feature stores. So being able to create features and engineer those features and then serve them, and do that at speed, at scale, in a reliable way, that is, monitored and alerted, and for that to happen seamlessly throughout many organizations, it's still a high bar. So I know that a lot of organizations are looking for example, for feature store solutions, where you can apply software engineering principles to your data preparation and your data processing pipelines. This is the whole movement of data ops. This is the space in which that plays. And I'm really encouraged by the fact that it is a movement now, and that it has, a title, and companies that are tying themselves to that, because it'll help us increase the speed at which the improvement rate happens in that part of the industry. So I think it's still a couple of outstanding questions in the data preparation side, particularly with versioning of data, and with making it easy to create industrial strength feature stores. So that's the first one. Second one is democratizing AI, sometimes referred as citizen data scientist. I think that more and more we have to move into that world where more people in the organization need to be able to have these tools at their fingertips, be able to use them, and be able to get them to a point where there's value being created from this wonderful technology. And the barrier is typically still too high, but there's been improvements in making the creation of models more accessible through the organization. I think that's great. But it needs to be, I think, the gap still is that it needs to be better linked with the data preparation component. So then you have sort of a reliable input, and something that what's going into the preparation of those models. And then on the other side, the operationalization of those models, that there needs to be an easy way where the models are versioned and tracked, and the performance is monitored, and there's alerting, and we'll talk about those components separately as well. But making AI more accessible throughout organizations is the only real way that we're gonna be able to transform our organizations with this technology. So it needs to be available in more places, and for that it needs to be done at the standards which we hold our data science and ML engineers teams, in terms of the processes, the traceability, and their learning, because because we want these systems to operate at an industrial strength level of reliability and security. So bridging that gap for non-technical people is going to be critical. Number 3 is better AutoML. So we've had a lot of progress in the creation of models in that space. There's still the efforts, in my view, are still a little bit disjointed. That some people focus on time series and forecasting, other people focus on supervised learning, but there's not enough unbalanced or not enough catering for unbalanced classifications, things like that. There's still a lot of gaps in terms of the smarts that can go into AutoML. And maybe my expectations are too high, but there's a lot of repetitive things that data scientists need to check for and adapt. And there's almost like logical decisions that need to be made by hand a lot of times, or almost every time, with different data sets. So there's a lot of automation and optimization that can happen in the creation of models, a lot of improvements. I'm not saying that the algorithms themselves need to improve. That's definitely happening with research. But this is around the creation of algorithms at speed and at scale in a way that's more reliable, more flexible, and it definitely ties it to the previous point, or making it more accessible. But it also will increase the breadth and the reach that AI can be used in organizations. Because I see a future where we have thousands of models in production in every organization. And that means that there'll be probably like tens of thousands of models in being developed. And so to be able to both create that and then manage that, and for those systems to be robust and reliable, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the better AutoML is one component. And the other component, which is my 4th point, is better ops in this space, which is better ML ops, better ML engineering. And this is the ML ops movement is super, super important to be able to reliably deploy, monitor, track, and alert the quality of predictions that are being created by models in production. That's something that's critical. It's made a lot of improvements in the last 18 months. It still has a long way to go. We poll our audience almost every week on our webinars, and we ask them how many models machine learning models in production exist in your organization today. And we have about 94% of people say 5 or less. And the majority of those people say 0 models in production. And then we have, a fraction of a percent saying that they have 20 or more models in production. And I think that the MLOps space is around helping us get the value from our models by getting them into production in easier ways, having the processes, the infrastructure, the platforms to do this at scale. And that's a component that needs to improve. It has been improving, but it needs to improve significantly in the next 18 months to be able to take us to that future where every organization has thousands of models in production, and that can be managed in a largely automated way with confidence that it's solid and reliable, and that we can manage by exception by being alerted when something needs human review, retraining, recreation, etc. That's the world that I would like us to get to over the next 18 months. So better data preparation, versioning, feature stores, maybe better data ops, democratizing AI through taking into consideration the end-to-end life cycle, so not just the creation of the models, but looking into the data that comes first, that's fed into it, and then how the models are operationalized. Then thirdly, better AutoML, so it can tackle a larger set of problems and automating more of the tasks, more of the repetitive tasks that data scientists need to do almost every time. And then better MLOps, so we can continue to get more value from our models. Those would be fantastic. If I was going to add a fifth, I would say that improvements on responsible and ethical AI are critical for us to have the confidence that we are able to create the models that have the impact that we want in the world. So I think that's key. And within that umbrella, I think it's critical to realize that a lot of organizations, in most organizations, I would say, we don't have the required data today to make the models as fair and as responsible as we would like to. And that's because the data that has been captured for the purpose that's been used for, which is sometimes to pay people, to receive payments. Like the data has been captured for a narrow use case, and we've been trying to use it in a more general use case, and that will inevitably give us problems. So we need to improve the way that we are either capturing data or data sharing and make it more secure to be able to make significant strides on the responsible AI and fair AI, which would be fantastic if that can improve over the next 18 months. I hope this has been helpful. See you in the next one.